Hi, and welcome to another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Craig Andersen.
And I'm Joanne LaFlamme.
Hey Joanne, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
So what are we going to cover today?
Well, we've been talking about the CRM module,
Yep.
so I thought maybe tonight we could talk about the home screen.
Okay, great. CRM does have 4 primary views, home being one of them, so we'll go through that.
Okay.
And this will be actually the 3rd video of the series that we're producing, so that's a good topic.
Great.
All right,
Let's
so
take
let
a
me
look.
give you a quick overview of the home screen first. So on the home screen here, we have the main kind of diagram and module icons for the application. All right, so one of the things I want to explain about that is this is not a workflow diagram per se, it's more of just a graphical representation of how the modules kind of connect. Okay. But each one of them is a button. So if I was to click one of the buttons here, that would actually launch estimate order entry screen. So that's what people are normally familiar with.
Okay.
So that's one way of accessing the modules by clicking on that button. So I'm going to close that out there. And you can also come over to the side panel. As you see, we have many side panels, and we went through the My Preferences last week. But we have a module one, and if I click estimate and order entry there as well, it opens up the module.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. Now, if I just minimize the module or actually click on CRM screen, it actually now put the enterprise estimate and order entry screen behind CRM. So if I was to minimize this, you actually would see the screen there. But what we've done to help the user maintain accessibility to all the different modules is we load an icon down here in the lower left-hand corner near the version and client version information that represents that module. When I click it, it now brings that module right back to the forefront.
Yep.
And you can have as many modules open and it'll fill that toolbar. So every module you have open fills up that toolbar, and you can actually toggle back and forth between them.
Great.
So it's a nice quick way to get at the modules. So I'm going to again click on the CRM screen somewhere, and the estimate and order entry screen now fell behind. Okay, so one of the things that we've done differently with the design of CRM is in the past, when a company owned modules, all of the modules on the enterprise main screen would show up even if they didn't own them. They'd be just grayed out. So we're doing something a little bit differently. We're actually hiding modules that, one, the company doesn't own, and also as a user, if you don't have access to specific modules, you will not see those icons as well. So this diagram that we're looking at here will change based on the modules that the company owns and the access to the modules that that individual has, okay? And the other thing that we've done here is we've kind of broken this up into categories, and that the purpose behind that was to establish kind of a commonality when you go into the different areas of CRM, okay? So the first common area here is customer service, and we have the 3 primary modules that are currently considered customer service modules. Then we have the production area, which contains all the buttons for all the modules, for all the common production modules. Down in the financial section, right now, we have all our primary accounting modules registered, so you're seeing actually all 4 accounting modules. However, if you own just invoicing, the 4 accounting modules would disappear, and the invoice icon would be displayed. And if you're interfacing to something like QuickBooks, you would activate that interface, and you can then get that interface to launch that interface itself actually show up as a button in the financial section as well. That would also show up over here. So you have the accounting modules, which show all the 4 accounting modules. Okay, so we're able to bounce back and forth here between them. The other area that I want to talk about is this general area. You have the file maintenance, which everybody's familiar with, and the reports module. But we've done something down here as well as in this support link off here on the left side. And the purpose or the intent behind that is to try to improve communication between EPMS and the customers. So we're trying to, again, make it easier for the customer and the user to keep up with information and changes that are going along with us, but also to access the support team, which you guys work in. Okay, so let's go through that quickly. So the HE is the help module, and you can see that on both here in the square button and in the support panel up on the left. Now the help files are actually online files, so they're a web-based file, so you can access them anywhere, but one of the ways to access them is to click on this. RN stands for release notes, and you have a button that is also represented up here. And then you have a support button, and one up here as well. So if you were to click on that, you would actually get access to the support site and be able to log in. Customer forum, we have a customer forum site. We've been trying to promote the use of that. And we get people that occasionally register for it, but it doesn't get that much use. We're trying to encourage that. So this is one of the ways that we're trying to encourage it.
Right.
Put the button right in front of everybody. So the forum is accessible from here as well as up here. And then the VI, the videos. So that's where these videos are. We have over 65 videos up there now. So those are a great resource to just go take a look at. Most videos are anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes, except the ones, of course, that I do because I'm long-winded and talk forever. But but that's a great resource to find out about the program. And then we have a couple extra buttons over here in the left panel, WebEx and ShareFile, which are all tools that you use in working with you guys in support.
Right.
Okay.
No, I heard that there was some new functionality in the menu when you use the right click on the mouse button.
Yeah, that we with the conversion or the development of these new modules and the new development software, we're able to, you know, get access to features and functionality we haven't had before, and one of those is right clicks. So in the CRM system, in different areas of the system, you can perform a right click. So let me open up the module section here again. So if I right click on the enterprise estimate and order entry icon, I get what we call a context menu. And this context menu is provided to give you access to different functions. Those functions could be reports, or they could be functions that actually cause an action to occur, or they just get you to information quicker. So in the case of right-clicking on the module icon, I can click this button to actually open up a brand new estimate order window where I can create a new estimate. I'm going to cancel that. Same down here, if I click estimate, it allows me to add a new estimate specifically. And then I'm actually given the top 5, which are the most recent 5 orders or estimates, that if I click on that, it actually opens up those specific estimates or orders, okay?
Okay.
Now we've also incorporated that on the buttons here on the side, okay? So you have access to all that. Now on certain modules like scheduling where there's really not a logical function we can perform from here, we've given you access to reports. So the scheduling reports that you would need to run on a regular basis, you can now run by right-clicking on and getting that context menu.
Great, that makes sense.
One of the things I would like you to, users to note, though, which is another neat feature about the CRM and this new GUI is, no matter where you are in CRM, different views, this panel off here to the left is accessible. So even though I may be in the customer view or the report view of CRM, I can still launch and access a module without having to close down the screen or minimize the screen to actually get to the module main screen to open up the module. So that's a pretty cool feature.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions about the home screen?
No, I think that explains it. How about taking a look at a couple new tabs now we have on this, the first one being the dashboard tab. Can we take a look at that?
Sure. So the dashboard section, I'm going to click on the tab and open it up, and while it loads, we'll talk about the dashboard a little bit.
Okay.
The dashboard is your personalized area. So each user has the ability to go on and load onto the screen various gauges and charts, pie charts, graph charts, whatever, for different information that can be pulled out of the system.
Okay.
Okay, based on estimates, orders, production information. So these are basically driven, these charts and gauges are driven the same way that our reports are. There's a stored procedure that is hitting the database based on the criteria that was set, and it's presenting it, instead of in a text format in a report, it's presenting it in a graphical chart or diagram. Now, you can also access the text-based report behind it. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So here is my dashboard, and I've loaded a bunch of gauges on here, and you can see some of them are redundant. but I showed them in different formats, a pie versus a column gauge. Now, when you see the gauge, most companies, because they're a live production database, is going to have a lot of information. And you can't see it on a small little 2x4 postcard size gauge easily.
Right.
So what we've done is we flag you when there is more items to be seen, and we only display the first 4. But if you were to double click, you actually can now open up that chart into a much larger size, which you can expand full screen. And then you can actually print by hitting the print button here to actually print this report out onto paper.
Great.
Okay. Another feature is if I right click on any given chart, I can edit the chart. So this will open up the same exact window that is used to create a new chart. And I can go in here and modify the look and feel. And I'll talk about this when we go through creating a chart. I can also right click and delete the particular chart. I can unlock it so I can move it around or resize it. I can hit details, which now, as I hit the details, this is actually now loading a text-based format report based on all the information that stored procedure is feeding that gauge or chart. So you can take the gauge and chart and now look at all that information in actually a text format.
Okay.
So here's the report. So list of orders grouped by, sorted by customer account. So here's the report, and this is all the detail and information that is actually feeding that particular gauge that we're looking at. So you have the ability to see the information in 2 ways. The concept here, though, is to give each user kind of a graphical way of seeing how things are going. So you could make, if you're a manager of a sales team, you could actually make a chart for a particular sales rep in all their accounts and actually name the chart for them and have each person's chart up on screen so you can see how each one of them are doing.
Great.
Okay?
Yeah.
And as an owner, you can see a lot of information as well. Okay, so one of the things you can do is right-click on the chart and unlock the chart, get access to actually moving the chart around or resizing it. So I want to increase the size of this chart a little bit, and I'm going to drag it out this way, make it bigger. Now I can right-click and go to, in the open space, go to auto size and actually say to the largest. And now the gauges are going to reorganize themselves and resize themselves accordingly. So now, instead of getting 3 charts across, because of the given screen size that I have, I only have the ability to squeeze in 2 columns of charts. But again, you have the ability to unlock it, resize, move it around, resize it. That's what I was looking for, the little double arrow there. Then I can go to right click again, auto size, and now say to the smallest, and then that's going to reorganize the gauges again and give you more room.
That's a great
So
feature.
it gives you a way to play around with it a little bit. If I want to add a new chart, I just click in the open space here and hit Add Data Widget, and I get that same screen that we saw earlier.
Right.
So this is where I start to define the look and feel of the chart and some of the characteristics of colors and so forth. But then I can go in and actually set some of the parameters that the stored procedure is using. Okay. So the first section here is where general is where you actually pick the type of chart you're going to do. So I'm going to do another pie, and I want to look at, say, profitability. And then the category is profitability by customer account is the default one. But I have a whole list down here that I can select others. So let's say I want to see the profitability by sales rep. Now, remember I said you could rename the chart, right?
Right.
Okay, in this field here, this default name is driven by the category. However, I can actually come in here and put in your name. So now this gauge, when I save it, is actually going to be saved as your chart.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how you can kind of customize and tailor it to each person. Now, in the chart layout tab over here on the right, you have different sections where I can change the colors and so forth. And it's just something you should just play with. But again, the most important part is the filters. So the filters are the key elements that drive the stored procedure. I can leave this blank or actually go out to my customer list and select a specific customer. So I could actually, in theory, make a chart for you for a particular company and see how you're performing with that company.
Makes sense.
Or you can see how you're performing with that company,
Right.
more importantly. But I'm going to leave it blank, and I could select a particular CSR. So since if you were in here, actually, we would select you, because this is the one that we want to watch for you, but I'm going to keep it blank. And then you can select the period in which we're looking at. So we select here the default period for this chart. So I would go previous year to date, let's just say, and I would hit estimate. If I want to select an estimator, I would select them or leave it blank. And if I was using multi-plant, I could select a plant. And then in Enterprise, there are user-definable fields, I believe, on the estimate and order header that are used here that also affect the stored procedure. So you could actually define some of those user-definable fields if they're being used here in the stored procedure in the chart setup. Okay. And you would just hit save, and that would save that particular chart. I'm going to just hit cancel because I have a bunch of charts on my screen. So that chart would then get added to the screen here. Now, one of the things I didn't show was this change date. Remember when I showed you setting up the chart for you, I showed you how you could set the default period, the time frame in which that was going to look at, right?
Right.
But let's say you have that chart and you want to see just how you're doing this month. So you could come right click here and do change date, and then go to current month and select that, and that gauge, and this one happens to go blank because I don't have enough information there, but would now reset itself to that month. And it's going to stay on that month until I change it again manually, or when I exit out of this tab and come back in, it'll load back to the default.
Okay.
Okay. So I think we had that set on previous year, right? There we go. Okay. Any questions about those?
No, that's excellent. I think that's a great tool.
Okay.
Now I think there's a third view called favorites.
Yep.
And can we take a look and see what that's all about?
Sure. Favorites is another personalized view. The objective there was to give the user the ability to add what we're referring to as widgets to their favorite screen. And these widgets would give them various bits of information or give them access to things quicker, which may not even reside in Enterprise, but actually outside of Enterprise. So we'll show you that.
Sure.
So I click on the Favorites tab, and in front of me we have a series of widgets. So the first two, Application and Document and Website, the general premise behind those, and I'll show you how to set up each one, is that it will allow you to access things that are either on your network or on a website or whatever by just adding either the executable or the actual document file or the URL. Okay? So here, if I was to click on this WinWord executable, it would actually load Word with a blank document. So to add an actual application, you hit the plus sign and then you hit the Browse button. And let's say I just wanted to add, for some reason, the Enterprise icon again. I could go into the Enterprise directory and find any of the icon executables that I wanted to put here and just select it and then add it to the window. I can rename it if I want, so I could call it E32 and hit save, and now that adds that button to the screen. So when I click that button, it's going to launch that application. So the same concept would work for any of the Word document, Word applications, any Adobe applications, any executable. The thing about the application widget is the executable has to physically reside on this workstation.
So it can't, not a terminal service connection.
No, it's not a terminal service connection, and it can't be an application that resides on another workstation or a server. If you're running through terminal services and that terminal service has that application, then it would launch. But you can't launch an app, if you're running this client locally, you can't run an application that resides somewhere else.
So they just have to be the same place.
Has to be in the same place. The document widget here, same concept, except this drills down a little bit deeper. It actually gets you right to the document. So even though I added Word in my application widget, I could have a Word document in my document widget, And when I click that, it actually launches Word in the document.
Okay. And can that document be on a network drive?
Yeah, that one can. So
Okay.
the documents can be anywhere on the network that this machine has access to.
Okay.
And it's the same concept. So you would hit the plus sign, you would hit this, you would go out. Let's see if we have any documents on this machine. I don't think we do, but I know we have some stuff in here. These are some of the training videos, so I could come in, and actually it's looking for a Word document, but I can say, let's see if there's an all file. Actually, there isn't. So there is a certain restriction on files. So this is the various files that you can actually add here. So you could add an image of sorts. Let's see if we go to pictures. We got a sample picture. And let's say I look at JPEGs right here. There's some JPEGs. So I could actually click this and add that and save it. So now that actually has saved that image.
Okay, great. Okay? That's a great tool.
For whatever you would want to use that image for. So again, the concept there is just to be able to get at a document or some file quick and easy, okay, without having to leave CRM.
Right.
You don't have to go to your start menu. You don't have to minimize CRM to launch your icon on your desktop. You can do it right from here. Now, if you remember, last week when we were talking about user setup and preferences, we showed you how you added these widgets to the screen. You decided which ones you wanted to add and which ones we wanted to be up in the toolbar. So remember, these widgets here that we're looking at are also accessible wherever you are in CRM by launching one of these. So we were just talking about the document one, so if I come here, I actually get another version of that document one that lays on top of CRM. So if I'm in the customer view, I don't have to come back to my favorites tab.
I see.
I can actually launch it from there.
Great.
Okay. And the website one, same concept, hit the plus sign. This time you just type in your URL or cut and paste in the URL to a website that you have a necessity to go to on a regular basis.
Okay.
And you can put in a description and save that. We also had, and this was actually a great idea by one of our new CRM users, but we have a network one. So this, one of our users said, well, that's great that I can get to a document, but what about if I want to just get to a folder that may contain 100 documents?
Yep.
Okay, a customer folder of some sort, or a directory where we keep all our job documents or whatever. So we created a new widget recently for the network. So you could go out, hit the plus sign. I would have to go to a particular directory on my network. So for conversation's sake, I'm going to pick the picture directory on this computer and my picture and hit OK. So that loads the path. And then I'm going to come in here and type my picture and then hit save. So now I have a button that when I click it brings me right to that directory.
Great.
Okay. So again, another way of getting access to information quicker through the use of CRM. These next two are your calendars. We talked a little bit about calendars, I believe, in our overview. Remember, you have two calendars. You have a regular calendar, which is where you would have or create appointments that span over time. And another one is your task calendar, which is usually a single point in time sort of event. Like I need to call you by Friday at 10 o'clock.
Right.
Okay. These are two versions of that calendar. And when we were in our preference video, we set each one to default to a different view. So the task one is looking at a weekly view by default, but I can easily switch it. And every time I come in or reload, it'll reload back to the weekly view. Okay, and so then on the calendar view, again, you can change your view by just clicking on the different buttons. Now, I'm going to go into a whole in-depth video, its own video, by just using calendar. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on it right now, but this is one way using the widgets to see your calendar. Okay, as well as the buttons up top here that I've loaded up top. Okay, and then the other ones down here on the bottom, we have an order entry and an estimate widget. Both of those will list all the orders and all the estimates in the system that you have access to, assuming you have access to those modules or that module and you have access to those estimates and orders. Okay. You can just double click them and it actually opens up that particular screen, that particular order or estimate, and you can do whatever you need to do. The unread email, again, we're going to do another video specifically on emails and how to use the emails in CRM.
Okay.
But this unread email widget in CRM on my favorites tab will just display a list of emails that I have received into CRM that I have not read yet.
Okay.
And I'll have the option of just previewing them from here. I can't respond to them or do anything from them, but I can preview them just by double clicking it. And I can actually check off a checkbox that will remove the flag that says it's already responded to, so I'm not flagged in other areas of the system that I have to respond to that email still.
Okay.
Okay. And then the last one here is the customer CRM contact screen. This gives you the ability to create your own little personalized Rolodex for numbers that you may call on a regular basis. They could be clients that are already exist in the database, so we can pull in a client, and I'll show you that quickly.
Okay.
Or it could be that it's a vendor that you work with, or if you're a manager or the owner of the company, you may work with your bank and your lawyer or whatever. And
Right.
it could be your mother-in-law. It doesn't matter. It can be any number. So how do you load the numbers? You hit the plus sign. You decide whether it's a general. So a general would be basically anybody that does not exist in the enterprise database now.
Okay.
Okay, so your lawyer, your whatever.
Mother-in-law.
Yeah, mother-in-law. You put in the contact name, phone number, email, and you would hit save. If you select customer, you now get access to a customer button that would then open up the customer screen, and you would then be able to select the particular contact and add them. So you may be working with a customer all the time.
Yeah.
And this is just another quick way to get at their number.
Okay.
Because again, you can use these buttons up here to pop it up no matter where you are. And same concept with suppliers. You get a supplier button, you can now go out and grab the supplier contact. Once you select one of them and you add that to the screen, it fills in the information, you hit save, and now that person has been saved to the list. And you can double click the person, open up that information. It actually jumped on me there. So you click the person, open up the information, and you can call the number. And again, because I'm using that up here, I get that up here and I get the same functionality. Now, in our CRM email engine, we've enabled another cool function where all email addresses in enterprise database that are being viewed through CRM, if you're using the CRM email client, they'll have a live hyperlink on that email.
Oh,
so
wow.
notice that there's a line here. If I click that, it then opens up an email directly to you. So it just helps expedite your access again. So those are the 3 sub-views of the main home view.
Great. That was excellent.
What do you think?
That was excellent. I think it's a great tool.
Good. So does that pretty much cover it for now?
Yeah, I think you've answered all of our questions. Thank you very much.
All right, great. Well, this was another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Craig Andersen.
And I'm Joanne LaFlamme.
Be sure to watch for more to come. Thank you.